Welcome to Onyx Story Collective, where every story carries a heartbeat. My name is Shanice Washington. I'm 43 years old, and I've been a social worker in Atlanta, Georgia for the past 15 years. For 18 years, I thought I was living the dream, married to my college sweetheart, raising two beautiful children in our Cascade Heights home, building a life that looked perfect from the outside. But on a humid night in July 2024, I found a phone hidden in my husband's gym bag. And what I discovered on that phone didn't just break my heart, it shattered every single thing I thought I knew about the man I'd been sleeping next to for nearly 2 decades. If you're just tuning in right now, I need you to understand something. This isn't just another story about infidelity. This is about deception so deep, so calculated, that it made me question my own sanity. This is about a double life so elaborate that even my professional training in human behavior didn't help me see it. If this story resonates with you, if you've ever felt that gut instinct telling you something's wrong, please hit that like button. It helps other people who might be going through the same silent crisis find this video. Subscribe to Real Talk with Shanice so you never miss these raw, honest stories that could change someone's life. And please, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and what time it is right now. Knowing that sisters and brothers all around the world are listening gives me the strength to share this painful truth. Let me take you back to the beginning. Back when I still believed in our fairy tale. I met Marcus Washington in the fall of 2005 at Spelman College. I was a junior studying social work, and he was a senior at Morehouse studying business. We met at a homecoming step show. I was there with my sorority sisters from Delta Sigma Theta, and he was performing with his fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha. Y'all, when I tell you this man had me from the moment I saw him step, I mean it. He was 6'2", dark-skinned with the most beautiful smile I'd ever seen. And he had this confidence that just drew everyone to him. We started dating that same week. He'd pick me up after my classes in his beat-up Honda Civic, and we'd drive to Pascal's for fried chicken and talk for hours about our dreams. He wanted to open his own financial consulting firm. I wanted to work with at-risk youth and make a real difference in the community. We both came from working-class families. His mama was a nurse. His daddy worked at the post office. My parents owned a small beauty supply store in Decatur. We understood the struggle, understood the hustle, and we promised each other we'd build something better for our future kids. Marcus proposed to me the night of my graduation in 2006. He got down on one knee right there on Spelman's campus, in front of my parents, his parents, and all our friends. My mama cried so hard she nearly passed out. His daddy slapped him on the back and said, "You found yourself a good woman, son. Don't mess it up." We got married that September at Ebenezer Baptist Church. It was a beautiful ceremony. My cousin sang Here and Now by Luther Vandross, and when Marcus said his vows, promising to love me, honor me, and build a life with me, I believed every single word. For the first few years, life was exactly what we'd dreamed. Marcus landed a job at a downtown consulting firm, working his way up from junior analyst to senior consultant. I got hired by the Fulton County Department of Family and Children's Services, working with foster kids and families in crisis. The pay wasn't great, but the work filled my soul. In 2008, we had our first child, Jaden. Y'all, when they placed that boy in my arms at Grady Hospital, I looked at Marcus and saw tears streaming down his face. "We made this," he whispered. "We actually made this perfect little person." 3 years later, our daughter Destiny was born. Now we had our perfect little family, 2 kids, a house we'd saved up to buy in a good neighborhood with good schools, 2 cars, and careers we were proud of. We were living the Black American dream, the one our parents had worked so hard to make possible for us. Marcus was that husband everyone admired. He coached Jaden's youth basketball team. He never missed Destiny's dance recitals. Every Sunday we'd have dinner at his mama's house after church, the whole family together, eating her famous mac and cheese and greens, laughing and talking trash while watching the Falcons game. He was romantic, too. Even after all those years, Marcus would surprise me with flowers on random Tuesdays. He'd leave little love notes in my lunch bag. On our anniversary every year, he'd take me to the Sundial restaurant downtown, and we'd slow dance while Atlanta sparkled below us. "Still got the prettiest woman in the city," he'd whisper in my ear, and I believed him. God help me, I believed every word that came out of his mouth. But looking back now, I can see the signs I missed. Or maybe I saw them and just didn't want to acknowledge what they meant. It started about 3 years ago. Marcus began working longer hours. "Baby, I'm trying to make partner," he'd explain. "I need to put in this extra time now so we can have real financial security later." It made sense. I was proud of his ambition, proud that he was working so hard for our family. He started going to the gym more, 2, 5, sometimes 6 days a week. He'd leave the house at 5:30 in the morning, hit the gym before work, and sometimes go again after dinner. "I'm not getting any younger," he'd say, patting his stomach. "I need to take care of myself, stay healthy for you and the kids." Again, it made sense. I encouraged it. Even, I wanted my husband to be healthy and feel good about himself. His phone became attached to his hand. He'd be sitting right next to me on the couch, and that phone would buzz. And he'd look at it and smile, this little secretive smile, and then he'd get up and go to another room to respond. "Work stuff," he'd say if I asked. "Just a colleague with a question about a client account." I'd nod and go back to watching TV or helping Destiny with her homework, pushing down that little voice in my head that whispered, "Something's not right." The intimacy between us changed, too. We went from making love a few times a week to maybe once a month, if that. When I'd initiate, Marcus would say he was tired, stressed about work, or his back was hurting from the gym. "Rain check, baby," he'd say, kissing my forehead like I was his sister instead of his wife. I told myself it was normal, that this is what happens in long marriages, that we were just going through a phase. Marcus started dressing different. My husband, who used to live in polo shirts and khakis, suddenly had a whole new wardrobe: designer jeans, fitted shirts, cologne that cost $200 a bottle. "I need to look the part if I want to make partner," he explained. "Image matters in consulting." And once again, I accepted it. I was proud. Even, my husband was leveling up, taking himself seriously. The final sign, the one that should have made me wake up, was the way he started treating his phone like it was classified government information. He changed his passcode from our anniversary to something I didn't know. He started taking his phone into the bathroom with him every single time. He'd flip it face down whenever he set it on a table. If I walked into a room while he was on his phone, he'd quickly switch apps or lock the screen. "Why are you so secretive with your phone?" I asked him one night. Marcus looked at me with this wounded expression. "Secretive, baby. I got client information on here. Confidential financial data. I can't just leave it lying around." He pulled me into a hug. "Don't tell me you're getting insecure on me now. After all these years, you know you're the only woman for me." And like a fool, I let him make me feel guilty for even questioning him. That brings us to July 15th, 2024. The night everything changed. It was a Monday evening. Marcus had texted me earlier saying he was working late, wouldn't be home for dinner. The kids and I ate without him. I made spaghetti. Destiny complained about her summer reading list. Jaden was excited because he'd been invited to a basketball camp. Normal family stuff. Around 9:30, Marcus came home. He seemed upbeat, energized. He kissed me on the cheek, asked about the kids, grabbed a plate of food I'd saved for him. "I'm going to eat this and then hit the shower," he said. "Got an early morning meeting tomorrow." He headed upstairs while I finished loading the dishwasher. About 20 minutes later, I heard the shower running. I went upstairs to get ready for bed myself. And that's when I saw Marcus's gym bag sitting on the bench at the foot of our bed. He must have forgotten to put it in the closet like he usually did. I don't know what made me look inside. To this day, I couldn't tell you what prompted it. Maybe it was intuition. Maybe it was God finally making me pay attention. Maybe it was just dumb luck. But I unzipped that bag, thinking I'd pull out his dirty gym clothes and throw them in the hamper. And there, tucked into the side pocket underneath a towel, was a phone. Not Marcus's phone. I could hear his iPhone buzzing in the bathroom while he showered. This was a different phone. An Android. A phone I'd never seen before. My hands started shaking. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. The shower was still running. I had maybe 5 minutes before Marcus would come out. I pressed the power button, and the phone lit up. Nope. It opened right up. And what I saw on that screen made my knees buckle. I actually had to sit down on the bed because I thought I might pass out. The home screen was filled with apps I recognized: Instagram, Snapchat, Tinder, Bumble, Plenty of Fish. Dating apps. Multiple dating apps. With trembling fingers, I opened Instagram. The account wasn't under Marcus's real name. It was under MJ_Atlanta. The profile picture was Marcus, but it was a version of Marcus I barely recognized. Shirtless gym photos, pictures I'd never seen before. And the bio said, 38 entrepreneur, single, looking for something real. Single. The word hit me like a physical blow. I clicked on his messages, and y'all, I cannot even describe what I felt in that moment. There were dozens of conversations. Dozens. Women from all over Atlanta. And these weren't just casual, hey, what's up conversations. These were explicit. These were romantic. These were conversations you have when you're actively dating multiple people. Asterisk, I scrolled through message after message, my stomach turning with each one. There was Keisha, 29, who he'd been talking to for 6 months. Can't wait to see you Thursday night, baby. I've been thinking about you all day. There was Tamara, 35, who sent him pictures I will not describe. You make me feel things I haven't felt in years, MJ. When can I see you again? There was Nicole, 26, who he'd apparently taken to a Falcons game just 2 weeks ago, a game he told me he went to with his college friend Devin. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone. But I kept scrolling. I had to know. I had to see the full extent of this betrayal. I opened Tinder. Same profile. MJ_Atlanta. 38. Entrepreneur. Single. He had matches with at least 50 women. 50. I opened Bumble. More matches. More conversations. More lies packaged in flirty messages and promises. Then I saw something that made my blood run cold. A conversation from earlier that day. That very day, with a woman named Jasmine. Had an amazing time with you last night, she'd written. You're everything I've been looking for. Can't believe I finally found a good man who knows how to treat a woman right. Marcus had responded at 2:47 p.m. You're special, Jay. Real talk. I think this could be something serious. Let me take you out again this weekend. Somewhere nice. You deserve the best. Last night, he'd been with another woman last night. Sunday night. The night he told me he had to go into the office to finish up a presentation. I had kissed him goodbye at 7 p.m., told him not to work too hard, and he had looked me straight in my eyes and lied. He had walked out of our house, away from his wife and children, and spent the night with another woman. And then he came home this morning, kissed me good morning, and asked what I was making for breakfast like nothing had happened. The shower turned off. I had maybe 2 minutes. My mind was racing. What do I do? Do I confront him right now? Do I throw the phone at him and demand answers? But something in my social worker training kicked in, that analytical part of my brain that knows you need documentation. You need evidence. You need to be strategic. If I confronted him now, he could delete everything, make up excuses, gaslight me into questioning what I'd seen. So I did something I'd never done in my life. I quickly went through his phone and started taking screenshots with my own phone. The Instagram profile, the dating app profiles, the explicit messages, the pictures, everything. My fingers flew across both screens, screenshot after screenshot, my whole body trembling. I heard the bathroom door open. I quickly closed all the apps, put his phone back exactly where I found it in the gym bag, and stood up. Marcus walked out in his towel, water still dripping from his body. That body he'd been sculpting at the gym. That body that I now realized wasn't being sculpted for MIT, was being sculpted for them. For Keisha and Tamara, and Nicole and Jasmine, and God knows how many others. Hey baby, he said with that beautiful smile that had fooled me for 18 years. You coming to bed? I looked at this man, this stranger wearing my husband's face, and I had to use every ounce of self-control not to scream. Yeah, I managed to say, my voice surprisingly steady. Just give me a minute. I need to check on Destiny. I walked out of that bedroom and went straight to Destiny's room. My baby girl was asleep, her bonnet slightly crooked on her head, her phone still in her hand. I gently took the phone and placed it on her nightstand, fixed her bonnet, and kissed her forehead. Then I went to Jaden's room. My son was knocked out, sprawled across his bed like a starfish, his basketball still on his pillow. I moved the ball to the floor and pulled his covers up over him. These were my babies. These were the children I'd brought into this world with a man I thought I knew. And now I had to figure out how to protect them from the truth about their father. I went into the guest bathroom and locked the door. I sat on the edge of the tub and finally let myself look at all the screenshots I'd taken. Over 100 images. Proof of infidelity so extensive it couldn't be denied or explained away. I uploaded everything to my Google Drive, created a new folder with a password, and then emailed copies to myself and to my best friend, Keisha, not the Keisha from his phone. My Keisha, my girl from college who'd been my maid of honor. The email to Keisha just said, emergency. Open this tomorrow morning. Don't call me tonight. I'll explain everything. Then I looked at myself in that bathroom mirror. My locks were pulled back in a ponytail. My face was bare. I was wearing an old Spellman t-shirt and pajama pants. I looked exactly like what I was, a 43-year-old wife and mother who'd just discovered her entire marriage was a lie. I wanted to cry. I wanted to scream. I wanted to break things. But I couldn't. Not yet. The kids were asleep down the hall, and Marcus was in our bedroom, probably already dozing off without a care in the world, so I washed my face, took a deep breath, and went back to my bedroom. Marcus was indeed in bed, scrolling through his iPhone, his real phone. "Everything good with the kids?" he asked without looking up. "Yeah," I said, climbing into bed beside him. "They're good, both sleeping." I turned off my bedside lamp and lay there in the dark next to this man who I suddenly realized I didn't know at all. Who was he? Had he always been this person? Had our entire relationship been a performance? I thought about our wedding day. I thought about the births of our children. I thought about every anniversary, every Valentine's Day, every "I love you" he'd whispered in the dark. Were any of those moments real? Or was I just another woman he was running game on? Except I came with a marriage certificate and a mortgage. Marcus's breathing deepened. He was falling asleep, peaceful and content, while I lay there with my whole world crumbling around me. I didn't sleep at all that night, not one single minute. I just stared at the ceiling, my mind racing through 18 years of memories, now re-examining every single one through this new lens of betrayal. When the alarm went off at 6 a.m., Marcus stretched and yawned like it was just another Tuesday. He kissed my cheek, actually, kissed my cheek, and said, "Morning, beautiful. I'm going to hit the gym before work. Love you." And he got up, got dressed in his workout clothes, grabbed that gym bag with that hidden phone, and left. Like it was nothing. Like he wasn't living a completely double life. Like he wasn't destroying his family with every lie. The second his car pulled out of the driveway, I called in sick to work. Then I woke up the kids. "Get dressed," I told them. "You're spending the day at Grandma's." They groaned and complained, but I wasn't having it. "Now," I said in that voice that mothers have when they're not playing. Within 30 minutes, I had them fed, dressed, and in my car. I drove them to Marcus's mother's house in College Park. Miss Patricia answered the door in her robe, surprised to see us so early. "Shanice, what's wrong, baby? You look terrible." I did look terrible. I hadn't slept. My eyes were swollen from the tears I'd finally allowed myself to cry in the shower. "Miss Patricia, I need you to watch the kids today. Please, I'll explain everything later. But right now, I just need them here with you." She looked at me with those knowing eyes that mothers have, and she didn't ask another question. "Of course, baby, come here." She pulled me into a hug, and I almost broke down right there on her doorstep. But I couldn't, not yet. I kissed Jaden and Destiny goodbye, promised them I'd pick them up later, and drove straight to Keisha's house in East Point. My best friend opened her door already crying. "Girl, I opened those files," she said, pulling me inside. "I opened them, and I've been sitting here for the last hour trying to process what the hell I just saw. Shanice, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." We sat on her couch, and I told her everything. Finding the phone, the dating apps, the women, the lies, all of it. Keisha held my hand while I talked, and when I finished, she said the words I needed to hear. "You can't stay with him. You know that, right? This isn't a mistake. This isn't one affair. This is systematic. This is calculated. This man has been running a whole operation behind your back." I nodded. I knew she was right. But knowing and accepting are two different things. "I've given this man 18 years of my life," I said, my voice breaking. "I've given him 2 children. I've supported every dream, every goal. I've been faithful, Keisha. I've never even looked at another man. And this is what he does to me." Asterisk. Keisha squeezed my hand tighter. "Listen to me. You did nothing wrong. Nothing. This is all on him. Every lie, every betrayal, every moment he chose to disrespect you and your marriage, that's on Marcus, not you." She grabbed her laptop. "Now, we need to be smart about this. You're a social worker. You know how these things go. We need to document everything, get your finances in order, and prepare for what's coming next." We spent the next 3 hours going through everything. Keisha helped me download our bank statements. Y'all, when I started looking at our accounts with new eyes, I saw things I'd missed before. Cash withdrawals, lots of them. 200 here, 300 there, sometimes 500 at a time. Charges at restaurants I'd never been to. Hotel rooms in Buckhead. Charges at jewelry stores, jewelry I'd never received. An $800 charge at a lingerie boutique in Lenox. Mall dated February days before Valentine's Day. I never got lingerie for Valentine's Day. He'd given me a card and taken me to dinner at Houston's, but someone got $800 worth of lingerie. That son of a... Keisha caught herself. How much money are we talking? I did the math. Over the past 2 years, I could identify at least $30,000 in suspicious charges and withdrawals, $30,000 of our family's money. Money we were supposed to be saving for the kids' college funds. Money that was supposed to be for our future, had been spent on his double life. I felt physically sick. Keisha made me eat something. She ordered from Slutty Vegan because she knows their burgers are my comfort food. While we ate, she asked the hard questions. What do you want to do? Do you want to try to work it out? Or are you done? I thought about it. Really thought about it. Could I forgive this? Could we go to counseling and rebuild trust after this level of betrayal? I pictured myself sitting across from Marcus in some therapist's office, listening to him explain why he needed to have profiles on multiple dating apps, why he needed to tell dozens of women he was single, why he needed to spend thousands of dollars on dates and hotels and gifts for other women. I'm done, I said, and saying it out loud made it real. I'm done, Keisha. I can't come back from this. I won't. She nodded. Okay. Then you need a lawyer. And a good one. She pulled up her phone and called her cousin Troy, who's a divorce attorney here in Atlanta. Within an hour, I had a consultation scheduled for the next morning. By the time I left Keisha's house, I had a plan. I was going to pick up my kids from Miss Patricia's, go home, and act normal. I wasn't going to confront Marcus yet, not until I had legal counsel, not until I knew my rights, not until I had a strategy to protect myself and my children. That night at dinner, Marcus came home with flowers, actually brought me flowers and acted like he was husband of the year. For my beautiful wife, he said, kissing me on the lips. I wanted to throw those flowers in his face. Instead, I smiled and said thank you, put them in water, and served him the chicken I'd baked. We sat around the table like a normal family. Jaden talked about basketball camp tryouts. Destiny complained about a girl in her dance class who was starting drama. Marcus told us about a new client his firm had landed, and I sat there, watching this man perform the role of devoted father and faithful husband, knowing that in a few hours, he'd probably pull out that secret phone and text one of his women. The lies were so effortless for him. That's what scared me the most, how easy it was for him to sit there and play family man while living a completely different life. After dinner, after the kids were in bed, Marcus tried to initiate intimacy. He came up behind me while I was brushing my teeth and wrapped his arms around my waist. It's been a minute, baby, he whispered in my ear. Let me remind you why you married me. I could barely contain my disgust. This man who'd been with another woman just 2 nights ago wanted to touch me, but I couldn't reveal what I knew. Not yet. I'm exhausted, Marcus, I said, which wasn't a lie. Rain check. He looked disappointed but kissed my forehead. All right, but soon, okay, I miss my wife. The audacity, the absolute audacity of this man. I got in bed and turned away from him, and for the second night in a row, I didn't sleep. I just laid there listening to him snore, wondering how many other women had listened to this same sound, believing his lies about being single and available. The next morning, I met with Troy Mitchell at his law office in downtown Atlanta. Troy was sharp, professional, and direct. I showed him everything, the screenshots, the bank statements, the credit card charges. He looked through it all with a neutral expression that I'm sure he'd perfected over years of practice. When he finished, he looked up at me. Mrs. Washington, I'm going to be straight with you. This is about as clear-cut a case of marital infidelity and financial infidelity as I've ever seen. In Georgia, we're a no-fault divorce state, which means the adultery itself won't necessarily impact the divorce decree. But this financial component, him spending significant marital assets on extramarital affairs that we can work with. He explained my options. I could file for divorce on grounds of adultery. Given the evidence, we could push for a favorable settlement, potentially more of the marital assets, since he'd been essentially stealing from our family to fund his affairs. Child custody likely wouldn't be an issue, since Marcus had never been anything but a good father. And Georgia courts favor shared custody, but I could probably get primary physical custody given what was about to come out. How long will this take? I asked. Troy leaned back in his chair. If he contests it, could be 6 months to a year. If he agrees to terms, we could have you divorced in 60 days. 60 days. 2 months to end an 18-year marriage. It seemed impossibly fast and impossibly slow all at once. I want you to file the papers, I said. I want to move forward. Troy nodded. I'll have everything drawn up by tomorrow. We'll need to serve him. Do you want to tell him first, or do you want him served at work? I thought about it. Part of me wanted to have the satisfaction of confronting him myself, of watching his face when he realized I knew everything, but another part of me, the smarter part, knew that giving him advance warning would just give him time to hide assets. delete evidence, and prepare his defense. Serve him at work, I said. I'll tell the kids first, and then you can serve him. That conversation with Troy was on a Wednesday. That evening, I sat down with Jaden and Destiny in our living room. Marcus was, of course, at the gym. Or, at least that's where he said he was. For all I knew, he was with Jasmine, or Keisha, or Tamara, or one of the dozens of other women he'd been seeing. I need to talk to you both about something important, I said. They could tell from my tone it was serious. They sat on the couch, looking at me with worried eyes. Your father and I are getting a divorce. The words hung in the air. Destiny's eyes immediately filled with tears. Jaden's jaw clenched. He was trying to be strong, to be the man of the house at just 16 years old. Why? Destiny asked, her voice small. Did you guys have a fight? Can't you work it out? This was the hardest part. How do you tell your children that their father, the man they've looked up to their entire lives, has been living a lie? How do you shatter their image of him without turning them against him? Because despite everything, despite my hurt and anger, I knew Marcus loved these kids. His betrayal was against me, not them. Your father has done some things that have broken my trust, I said carefully. Things that mean we can't stay married anymore? But I want you both to know that this has nothing to do with you. Your father loves you both very much, and he's still going to be your father. This is between him and me. Jaden wasn't stupid. At 16, he understood more than I was saying. Did he cheat on you? He asked directly, his voice hard. I wasn't going to lie to my son. Yes, I said quietly. He did. Destiny burst into tears. Jaden's face went from hurt to angry. How could he do that to you? He said, his hands balling into fists. Mom, you've been nothing but good to him. You've done everything for this family. How could he? Hey, I said, moving to sit between them on the couch. I put my arms around both of them. I know this is painful. I know you're angry and confused, but we're going to get through this together. Our family is going to look different, but we're still a family. You two are still my babies, and nothing is going to change that. Asterisk, we sat there on that couch. The three of us holding each other while Destiny cried and Jaden tried to hold back his own tears. My strong boy, trying so hard to be brave for his sister and for me. Where's Dad going to live? Destiny finally asked, wiping her eyes. Is he moving out? Are we moving? We're going to stay here in this house, I told her. Your father will probably get an apartment nearby, so you can still see him regularly. Nothing about your relationship with him has to change. You can still do everything you've always done with him: basketball games, dance recitals, Sunday dinners at grandma's. The only thing that's changing is that your father and I won't be married anymore. When is this happening? Jaden asked, his voice tight. The lawyer is serving him with divorce papers tomorrow at his office, I said. So he'll know tomorrow, and then we'll figure out the logistics from there. Jaden nodded slowly, processing everything. Does Grandma know? He asked. I shook my head. Not yet. I wanted to tell you first. I'll talk to her tomorrow. That night, after I'd gotten the kids settled, or as settled as they could be after news like that, Ty lay in bed next to Marcus for what I knew would be one of the last times. He came home around 9, cheerful as always, completely oblivious to the fact that his world was about to implode. Hey family, he called out when he walked in, but the energy in the house was different. The kids barely responded. Destiny stayed in her room. Jaden grunted something and kept his eyes on his video game. Marcus came upstairs and found me in bed reading. What's wrong with the kids? He asked. They seem off. I looked up at him. This man I'd loved for 18 years, and felt absolutely nothing but contempt. They're just tired, I said. Long day. He shrugged and went to take his shower. I listened to the water running and thought about how tomorrow, his comfortable life of lies was going to come crashing down. Part of me felt satisfaction at the thought, but mostly I just felt sad. Sad for the years I'd wasted. Sad for my children who had to learn that their father wasn't who they thought he was. Sad for the version of myself who'd believed in fairy tales and forever. Thursday morning came. Marcus left for work at his usual time, 7:30 a.m., after kissing me goodbye and telling me he loved me. Those words meant nothing now. They were just sounds, empty syllables he'd learned to say at the right times. I got the kids ready for their day. Jaden had summer school for an advanced placement course, and Destiny had dance camp. I dropped them both off and then called Miss Patricia. Miss Patricia, I need to come talk to you, I said. It's important. She heard something in my voice because she didn't ask questions. Come on over, baby. I'll put on some coffee. An hour later, I was sitting in her kitchen. The same kitchen where I'd eaten countless Sunday dinners, where she'd taught me how to make her famous peach cobbler. where I'd shared so much laughter with Marcus's family. And now I had to tell this woman, who'd welcomed me as a daughter, that her son had betrayed me in the worst way possible. Miss Patricia, I started, my voice shaking, I need to tell you something about Marcus. She set down her coffee cup and looked at me with those wise eyes. I know my son Shani, and I've seen him changing these past couple years. Tell me what's happened. So I told her. I showed her the screenshots. I showed her the bank statements. I watched her face crumble as she realized the extent of her son's deception. Oh baby, she whispered, tears streaming down her face. Oh Shanice, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. She came around the table and pulled me into her arms. You didn't deserve this. You've been nothing but good to my son. And she couldn't finish the sentence. We cried together in that kitchen, both of us mourning the man we thought Marcus was. I'm filing for divorce. I told her, the papers are being served today. I wanted you to hear it from me first. Miss Patricia nodded, wiping her eyes. You're doing the right thing. I love my son, but I love you too. And I love those grandbabies. Marcus made his choice when he decided to step out on his marriage. Now he has to live with the consequences. She grabbed my hands. Shanice, whatever you need, childcare, support, a place to stay if things get difficult, I'm here for you. You're still my daughter, divorce or no divorce. Her words broke something open in me, and I sobbed. I sobbed for the marriage I'd lost, for the future I'd planned that would never happen, for the man I'd loved who turned out to be a stranger. Miss Patricia held me through all of it. This beautiful, strong black woman who'd raised a son who didn't deserve the family he'd been given, at approximately 2:15 p.m. that Thursday afternoon. According to Troy, Marcus was served with divorce papers at his office. Troy called me to confirm. It's done, he said. The process server said he looked shocked, completely blindsided. Good. I wanted him to feel even a fraction of the shock I'd felt when I found that phone. My phone started ringing at 2:47 p.m. Marcus. I let it go to voicemail. He called again, and again. By 3 p.m., I had 15 missed calls and a dozen text messages. Shanice, what the hell is this? Call me right now. We need to talk about this. You can't just serve me with divorce papers at my job. People are asking questions. This is humiliating. Call me. I didn't respond to any of them. At 4 p.m., Troy called again. He's been calling my office non-stop. He wants to talk to you. He says this is all a misunderstanding. I actually laughed. A misunderstanding. Tell him I found his phone. Tell him I know about Keisha, Tamara, Nicole, Jasmine, and all the others. Tell him I've seen the bank statements. There's no misunderstanding here. Troy was quiet for a moment. I'll convey the message. Are you prepared for him to come to the house? I hadn't thought about that. Of course he'd come to the house. Should I not be there? I asked. That's up to you, Troy said. Legally, it's still his house too, until the divorce is final. But if you feel unsafe or uncomfortable, you have every right to take the kids and stay somewhere else. I thought about it. Did I feel unsafe? Physically, no. Marcus had never been violent. But emotionally, I didn't know if I could handle seeing him, hearing whatever excuses or apologies he'd try to offer. I'm going to stay at my girlfriend's house tonight. I decided. I'll pick up the kids, and we'll stay with Keisha. I called the kids' schools and programs, picked them up early, and drove straight to Keisha's house in East Point. I'd already called her and explained the situation. Girl, y'all can stay here as long as you need, she said when we arrived. I've got the guest room and the pull-out couch. We'll make it work. Jaden and Destiny were quiet, processing everything. They knew their father had been served today. They knew everything was about to change. Around 6:30 p.m., Marcus started calling again. This time I answered. Shanice, he said, his voice desperate. Baby, where are you? Where are my kids? We need to talk about this. There's nothing to talk about, Marcus, I said, my voice cold. I found your phone. I know everything. Silence. Complete silence on the other end of the line. Then, what phone? Baby, I don't know what you're talking about. He was actually going to try to deny it. Even now, caught red-handed, he was going to lie. The Android phone in your gym bag, I said. The one with Instagram, Tinder, Bumble, and all your dating profiles. The one you use to talk to all your girlfriends. That phone, Marcus. More silence. I could almost hear his mind racing, trying to figure out how to spin this. Shanice, listen. No. You listen, I interrupted. I have screenshots of everything. Every profile, every conversation, every lie. I have the bank statements showing where you've been spending our money. I know about Jasmine. I know you were with her Sunday night when you told me you were at the office. I know everything. Marcus. So don't insult my intelligence by trying to deny it. I heard him take a shaky breath. Can we please talk about this in person? Face to face? No, I said firmly. From now on, all communication goes through my attorney. His name is Troy Mitchell. You'll be hearing from him about the terms of the divorce. Divorce? Marcus's voice cracked. Shanice, come on. We've been together 18 years. We have kids together. You're really going to throw away our whole marriage over this? The audacity. I'm not throwing anything away, I said, my voice rising. You threw it away. You threw it away every time you logged into those dating apps. You threw it away every time you told another woman you were single. You threw it away every time you chose to spend money on them instead of saving it for your children's future. This is on you, Marcus. All of it. I can explain. I don't want to hear it. I cut him off. I don't want your explanations or your excuses. I want a divorce, and I want you to stay away from me. What about my kids? He asked. I have a right to see my kids. And you will, I said. Troy will work out a custody arrangement. But right now, I need space, and so do they. They know what you did, Marcus. Jaden asked me directly if you cheated, and I told him the truth. They're hurt. They're angry. They need time to process this. I heard him curse under his breath. You told them. Shanice, why would you do that? They didn't need to know. They deserved to know the truth about who their father really is. I said, I'm not going to lie to protect your image. You should have thought about your kids before you decided to create profiles claiming you were single. You should have thought about them before you spent thousands of their college fund money on your affairs. This is the consequence of your choices, Marcus. Deal with it. Asterisk, I hung up before he could respond. My hands were shaking. My heart was pounding. But I felt something I hadn't felt in days. For the first time since finding that phone. I wasn't the victim lying in bed next to her betrayer, pretending everything was fine. I was taking action. I was taking control of my own life and my children's future. Keisha made us dinner that night: baked chicken, mac and cheese, collard greens, cornbread, comfort food. We sat around her table, and she did her best to keep the conversation light, asking Jaden about basketball and Destiny about dance. But the weight of what was happening hung over all of us. After dinner, Destiny came and curled up next to me on Keisha's couch. Mom, she said quietly, are you going to be okay? My baby girl, worried about me when her whole world was falling apart. I pulled her close and kissed the top of her head. Yes, baby, I'm going to be okay. We're all going to be okay. It's going to hurt for a while, and it's going to be hard, but we're going to get through this together. The Washington women are strong. You know that, right? She nodded against my shoulder. I just don't understand why Dad would do this. I thought he loved us. He does love you, I said, meaning it. What your father did to our marriage. The choices he made, those have nothing to do with how much he loves you and your brother. Adults make mistakes, sometimes really big ones. But you are not responsible for your father's choices, and his choices don't diminish his love for you. But he hurt you, she said, her voice breaking. He hurt you so bad, Mom. I can see it. I won't lie to my daughter. Yes, he did. He hurt me deeply. But I'm going to heal from this, and so will you and Jaden. We're going to be okay. That night, I slept in Keisha's guest room with Destiny curled up beside me. Just like when she was a little girl afraid of thunderstorms. Jaden took the pull-out couch in the living room, and for the first time in almost a week, I actually slept. Not great sleep, but sleep nonetheless, because at least now everything was out in the open. No more pretending. No more lying next to a man who'd been betraying me. No more fake smiles over dinner. The next morning, Friday, Troy called with an update. Marcus wants to meet. He's asking for a chance to talk to you, to explain himself. He's also asking about seeing the kids. I sighed. I knew this was coming. Tell him he can see the kids this weekend, but I'm not ready to talk to him face to face. Understood, Troy said. I'll communicate that to his attorney. Yes, he's already retained counsel. We'll set up a parenting schedule. In the meantime, I need you to come by the office. We need to talk about finances and assets. That afternoon, while the kids were with Keisha, I met with Troy again. We went through everything: our house, our cars, our retirement accounts, our savings. We'd accumulated a decent amount of wealth over 18 years. The house in Cascade Heights was worth about $450,000. We had about $180,000 in retirement accounts combined, 2 paid-off cars, and about $45,000 in various savings accounts. Plus there was Marcus's income. He made about $150,000 a year as a senior consultant. Here's what I'm thinking, Troy said, pulling out a legal pad. We push for you to keep the house since you'll have primary custody of the kids. They need stability, and that's their home. We split the retirement accounts 50-50, that's standard. But here's where we get aggressive. We document every penny he spent on these affairs and we argue that he owes you reimbursement for dissipating marital assets. That's at least $30,000 that we can prove. We also push for him to pay your attorney's fees since his actions necessitated this divorce. What about child support and alimony? I asked. Child support is calculated by a formula based on income and custody arrangement, Troy explained. If you have primary physical custody and he has standard visitation, you're looking at roughly $2,000 a month in child support. As for alimony, Georgia allows for it in cases where one spouse is financially dependent on the other. You make what? About $55,000 a year as a social worker. I nodded. So there's a significant income disparity. We can argue for rehabilitative alimony money to help you get additional training or education to increase your earning capacity. Or we can push for temporary alimony for a few years while you get back on your feet. Given the circumstances of the divorce and the length of the marriage, I think we have a strong case. The business of divorce. Reducing 18 years of marriage to assets and liabilities. Calculating the monetary value of betrayal. Over the next few weeks, my life became a series of meetings with lawyers, conversations with therapists, and difficult discussions with my children. Marcus was allowed supervised visitation with the kids. He'd pick them up on Saturday mornings and have them until Sunday evening. The first time Jaden and Destiny went with him after everything came out was brutal. Destiny cried and asked if she had to go. Jaden was stone-faced and silent. You don't have to go if you don't want to, I told them. But your father loves you and wants to see you. What he did to our marriage was wrong. But he's still your dad. They went. And when they came back Sunday night, they were quiet. I didn't push them to talk about it. I just let them know I was there whenever they were ready. Marcus tried multiple times to talk to me. He'd text me long messages. Shanice, I'm so sorry. I never meant to hurt you. I made terrible mistakes. Can we please just talk? Or I miss my family. I miss my wife. Please give me a chance to explain. Or those women meant nothing. You're the only one I've ever truly loved. I didn't respond to any of them. Troy had advised me not to engage directly. And besides, what was there to say? Sorry doesn't unring a bell. Sorry doesn't erase screenshots of him calling other women baby and beautiful. Sorry doesn't give me back the years I spent loving a man who didn't respect me enough to be faithful. My mama came to stay with me for a week. She flew in from Miami, where she and my daddy had retired, took one look at me and said, "Baby girl, you look like you've been through hell." Then she wrapped me in her arms and let me cry like I was 5 years old again. I should have known. I sobbed into her shoulder. I should have seen the signs. What kind of wife doesn't know her husband is living a double life? Don't you dare blame yourself, Mama said firmly, pulling back to look at me. That man lied to you. He deceived you. He manipulated you. You trusted him because that's what you're supposed to do in a marriage. This is not your fault, Shanice. Not even a little bit. Having my mama there helped. She cooked for us, helped with the kids, sat up with me late at night when I couldn't sleep. She also wasn't shy about expressing her feelings about Marcus. I never did fully trust that boy. She said one night while we were having tea in my kitchen, something about him always seemed too smooth, too perfect. Your daddy told me I was being paranoid, that Marcus was a good man. But I always felt like he was performing. You know, like he was playing a role. I thought about that. Had Marcus always been performing? Or had something changed along the way? When did the man I married turn into the man who could juggle multiple women without flinching? Do you think he was always like this? I asked Mama. Or do you think something happened that changed him? She considered the question carefully. I think some people get married before they've sown all their wild oats. They think they're ready to settle down, but deep down they're still chasing something. Could be validation, could be excitement, could be trying to prove something to themselves. And then one day they make a choice, maybe just talking to someone at a bar, exchanging numbers. Nothing serious. But then that choice leads to another choice, and another. And before you know it, they're living a whole different life. That made sense. I didn't think Marcus woke up one day and decided to become a serial cheater. It probably started small. Maybe a flirtation that went too far. Maybe one woman, one affair. And then it became easier. The lies came more naturally. And eventually, he was the man on that phone, telling multiple women he was single, living like he didn't have a wife and children waiting for him at home. About 6 weeks after I filed for divorce, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Against my better judgment, I answered, "Hello, is this Shanice Washington?" A woman's voice asked. "Yes, who's this?" There was a pause. "My name is Jasmine Harris. I think we need to talk about Marcus." My blood went cold. Jasmine, the woman from his phone. The one he'd told was special. The one he'd promised to take somewhere nice because she deserved the best. "What do you want?" I asked, my voice harder than I intended. "I'm sorry to bother you," she said. And she actually did sound sorry. I found out he was married. I had no idea, Mrs. Washington. I swear to God, I had no idea. I sat down at my kitchen table. "How did you find out?" "I went by his apartment last week, the address he gave me in Buckhead. But when I got there, the person at the front desk said no one by that name lived there. So I did some digging online, and I found his real name, and then I found his LinkedIn, and it said he was married. And then I found you on Facebook, and I saw your kids, and her voice broke. "I'm so sorry. I would never knowingly date a married man." Part of me wanted to hate this woman. She'd been sleeping with my husband. But another part of me recognized that she was a victim of Marcus's lies too. "How long were you seeing him?" I asked. "About 8 months, she said quietly. "We met on Bumble. His profile said he was single, an entrepreneur, no kids. We went out maybe twice a week. He was always busy, but he said it was because of his business. I never questioned it because he seemed so genuine. You know?" "Yeah," I said bitterly. "He's good at seeming genuine." "Mrs. Washington, I know this doesn't mean much, but I really am sorry. If I had known, I never would have." "I believe you," I said, cutting her off. "And you should know, you weren't the only one. I found evidence of at least a dozen other women he was seeing." She gasped. "A dozen? Oh my God. So we weren't even asterisk." "No," I confirmed. "You weren't even exclusive in his world of lies. You were just one of many." I heard her crying on the other end of the line. "I feel so stupid," she said. I really thought he was different. I thought maybe I'd finally found someone real." "That's what he does," I told her. "He makes you feel special. He says all the right things. He knows exactly how to make you believe him. Don't feel stupid." I was married to him for 18 years and I didn't know. We talked for a few more minutes. She told me details I didn't need to know but somehow needed to hear anyway. The restaurants he took her to, some of the same places he'd taken me for our anniversary. The lies he told about his past, how he said his ex-wife had cheated on him and destroyed his ability to trust. The cruel irony. She told me about the jewelry he'd bought her, the weekend trips to Savannah and Charleston, the promises of a future together. "He told me he was falling in love with me," Jasmine said, her voice thick with tears. "He said he'd never felt this way before. And I believed him because why would someone lie about that? Because that's who he is." I said simply, "He's a liar. It's as natural to him as breathing." After we hung up, I sat there for a long time, processing. 2 more women reached out to me over the following weeks, one through Facebook, another through Instagram. Both had similar stories. They'd met Marcus on dating apps. He'd told them he was single. They'd dated him for months, and they'd only recently discovered the truth. Both were devastated. Both apologized profusely. I started to see a pattern in the women he chose. They were all successful, educated, independent Black women. Women in their late 20s to mid-30s. Women who were looking for something real, ready to settle down. He targeted women who were vulnerable in that specific way, successful in their careers but longing for partnership. He knew exactly what to say to make them feel seen and valued. The profile he created wasn't random. It was carefully crafted to attract a specific type of woman, my therapist. Dr. Michelle Robinson, a sister who specialized in infidelity trauma, helped me process all of this. "What Marcus did is a form of narcissistic behavior," she explained during one of our sessions. "He needed constant validation from multiple sources. One woman wasn't enough to feed his ego. He needed to know he could attract and maintain relationships with multiple women simultaneously. It made him feel powerful, desirable, in control." "But why?" I asked. "What was missing? Was I not enough?" Dr. Robinson leaned forward. "Shanice, this has nothing to do with you not being enough. Nothing. Marcus's behavior comes from something broken inside him. Maybe it's insecurity. Maybe it's childhood trauma. Maybe it's just how he's wired. But you could have been the perfect wife, and from everything you've told me, you were a damn good wife, and it still wouldn't have been enough. Because the problem isn't you, it's him." That was hard to internalize. For weeks, I'd been asking myself what I could have done differently. Should I have been more attentive? More affectionate? Should I have lost weight? Dressed differently? Been more adventurous in bed? The questions tortured me. But Dr. Robinson kept bringing me back to the truth. Marcus's choices were his own. I didn't make him create those profiles. I didn't make him lie to those women. I didn't make him steal from our family's finances to fund his affairs. 3 months into the divorce proceedings, Marcus finally agreed to a settlement conference. This would be the first time I'd seen him face to face since the day I discovered his phone. I was terrified. Keisha offered to come with me for moral support, but Troy said it was better if it was just the lawyers and us. Keep it professional, he advised. Don't let him see how much he's hurt you. Walk in there with your head high. The conference was held at Troy's office. I arrived 15 minutes early, wearing a navy blue dress that made me feel powerful. My looks styled in an updo, my makeup perfect. I wanted Marcus to see what he was losing. When he walked in 10 minutes later with his attorney, I barely recognized him. He'd lost weight not in a healthy way, but in a stressed, not sleeping or eating way. His eyes were bloodshot, his suit wrinkled. He looked like hell. Good. Our eyes met across the conference table. "Shanice," he said, his voice breaking. "Baby, can we just Mrs. Washington?" Troy interrupted firmly. "Let's keep this professional. We're here to discuss the terms of the divorce settlement." Marcus's attorney, a white man named Richard Stern, cleared his throat. "Yes, let's get started. My client is prepared to make a very generous offer." For the next 2 hours, we negotiated the end of our marriage. Marcus agreed to let me keep the house. We'd split the retirement accounts 50. He'd pay child support of $2,100 per month until both kids turned 18. He agreed to pay 3 years of alimony, $2,000 per month, to help me get back on my feet. He'd pay my attorney's fees. And here's the part that gave me the most satisfaction. He agreed to reimburse me $30,000 for the marital assets he'd spent on his affairs. My client would also like to address Mrs. Washington directly, Richard said toward the end. Troy looked at me. I nodded. Marcus leaned forward, his eyes desperate. "Shanice, I know I messed up. I know I hurt you in ways I can never take back. But I want you to know that I never stopped loving you. Those women, they didn't mean anything. You were always the one. You're the mother of my children. You're my wife." I looked at this man, really looked at him, and I felt nothing. No love, no anger, not even hatred. Just nothing. "I'm not your wife anymore, Marcus," I said calmly. "And those women did mean something. Or you wouldn't have spent months and years talking to them, dating them, sleeping with them. You wouldn't have spent thousands of our dollars on them. You wouldn't have lied to me every single day." "I was sick," he said. "I think I had some kind of addiction or something. I'm in therapy now, trying to figure out why I did what I did." "Dr. Patterson says I have issues with." "I don't care," I interrupted. "I don't care about your therapy or your diagnosis or your explanations. That's your journey now. Mine is moving forward without you." "What about the kids?" he asked. "Don't they deserve to have their parents together? We could do counseling. We could. The kids deserve to see their mother treated with respect," I said firmly. "They deserve to understand that when someone violates your trust in such a fundamental way, there are consequences. I'm teaching them self-respect, Marcus. Something I wish I'd taught myself earlier." His face crumpled. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. "Can we at least try to be friends?" he asked. "For the kids, we can be civil co-parents," I said. "That's all I'm offering." We signed the papers that day. Just like that. 18 years of marriage reduced to signatures on legal documents. Troy walked me to my car afterward. "You did great in there," he said. "Kept your composure, didn't let him manipulate you emotionally." "That's not easy." "It's getting easier," I admitted. "I think I'm finally starting to heal." And it was true. The sharp, constant pain that had lived in my chest for months was beginning to dull. I was sleeping better, eating better, laughing with my kids again. My mama had been right. Time and distance were powerful healers. The divorce was finalized 60 days later. In October 2024. I didn't attend the final hearing. Troy handled it for me. When he called to tell me it was done, that I was officially no longer Mrs. Marcus Washington, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. That evening, I took Jaden and Destiny out to dinner at Sage Restaurant in Westside. "I want to talk to you both about something," I said after we'd ordered. "What, Mom?" Destiny asked, immediately worried. I smiled to reassure her. "Nothing bad, baby. Actually, I think it's something good. The divorce is final. It's officially over." Jaden nodded slowly. "How do you feel about that?" I thought about it. Honestly, I feel free. I feel like I can finally breathe again. These past few months have been the hardest of my life, but I'm coming out the other side. And I want you both to know that our family is going to be okay. Different, but okay. Are you going to start dating again? Destiny asked, her nose wrinkling at the thought. I laughed. Not for a long while, baby. Right now, I'm focused on me and you too. On healing and figuring out who Shanice Washington is without being somebody's wife. You're going to keep his last name? Jaden asked. I'd thought about this. Part of me wanted to go back to my maiden name, Collins, but another part of me recognized that Washington was my children's name, and changing it felt like erasing a part of our family history. For now, I said, maybe eventually I'll change it, but right now, I'm okay being Shanice Washington, the new version. The version who knows her worth and won't settle for less than she deserves. Over the following months, I worked on rebuilding my life. I started taking better care of myself, joined a gym, not to find a man but to find myself. I started going to a weekly book club with other Black women in Atlanta. I reconnected with old friends I'd neglected during my marriage. I took Destiny to mother-daughter spa days and went to every single one of Jaden's basketball games. Cheering louder than anyone else in the stands. Claude can make mistakes. Please double-check responses. Marcus maintained his visitation schedule with the kids. They'd spend every other weekend with him and one evening during the week. It was awkward at first. Jadon was still angry, and Destiny was confused about how to feel. But slowly, they began to rebuild their relationship with their father. I never talked badly about Marcus in front of them, even though I had every right to. They needed to figure out their own relationship with him, and my job was to support them through that, not poison them against their father. One Saturday afternoon in December, about 6 months after the divorce was finalized, Jaden came home from Marcus's apartment and asked to talk to me. We sat on the back porch, watching the winter sun set over Atlanta. Dad has a girlfriend, he said flatly. My stomach dropped. I knew this day would come eventually, but I wasn't prepared for how much it would sting. Oh, I managed. How do you feel about that? Jaden was quiet for a long moment. I don't like her, he finally said. She's young, like, maybe 30. And she's trying too hard to be our friend, asking us about school and our hobbies and acting all interested. He picked at a loose thread on his jeans. But you know what really bothers me? Dad acts like nothing happened, like he didn't destroy our family, like everything is fine now and we should all just move on. I reached over and squeezed his hand. Your father is dealing with what he did in his own way. That doesn't mean you have to be okay with it. You're allowed to be angry. You're allowed to need time. And you're allowed to tell him that. Did you know he's telling people that you guys just grew apart? Jaden said, anger creeping into his voice. That it was mutual. He's not even telling the truth about why you got divorced. That didn't surprise me. Marcus was rewriting history, making himself the victim or at least minimizing his role as the villain. That's what people like him do. They can't face the full weight of their actions, so they create a narrative they can live with. What your father tells other people doesn't change the truth, I said. And the people who matter, you, Destiny, me, Grandma Patricioe, know the truth. That's what matters. Aren't you angry? Jaden asked, looking at me with those eyes that looked so much like his father's. Doesn't it make you mad that he's just out there living his life? With a new girlfriend, acting like he didn't do anything wrong. I took a deep breath. You want the honest truth? Yes. Sometimes it makes me angry. Sometimes I think about everything I sacrificed. Everything I gave to our marriage, and I wonder how he can just move on But then I remember something my therapist told me. Him moving on doesn't diminish what I went through. His refusal to face his actions is his burden to carry, not mine. That's deep, Mom, Jaden said with a small smile. When did you get so wise? I laughed. Pain either breaks you or it teaches you. I decided to let it teach me. Destiny had a harder time with the girlfriend situation. She came home in tears one weekend, saying that Marcus's girlfriend, her name was Brittany, had tried to give her advice about boys. She's not my mother. Destiny sobbed. She doesn't get to act like she knows me or tell me what to do. I held my daughter while she cried, feeling that protective mama bear instinct rise up. I wanted to call Marcus and curse him out for putting our daughter in this position, but instead, I took a deep breath and helped Destiny process her feelings. You're right, I said. She's not your mother, and she never will be. But she is part of your father's life now, and that means she'll be around sometimes. You don't have to like her, and you don't have to accept her advice if you don't want it. But you do need to be respectful when you're in your father's home. I don't want to go back there, Destiny said, her voice muffled against my shoulder. I don't want to see her. This was the hardest part of co-parenting, balancing my children's feelings with the legal requirements, and with what was ultimately best for their relationship with their father. I understand that, I said carefully. And if you really don't want to go, we can talk to your father about it. But baby, your dad loves you. He made terrible mistakes in his marriage to me, but he's still your father. Don't let what he did to our marriage steal your relationship with him. Destiny pulled back and looked at me. How can you be so calm about this? Doesn't it hurt that he's with someone else? Of course, it hurt. Not because I still loved Marcus, I didn't. But because it highlighted how icily he'd moved on, how replaceable I'd apparently been. It does hurt sometimes, I admitted, but not in the way you might think. It doesn't hurt because I want him back. It hurts because I gave 18 years of my life to someone who could move on in 6 months. But that says more about him than it does about me. I decided to start therapy with both kids, not together, but individually. Jaden needed a male therapist, someone he could talk to about his anger toward his father and his feelings about masculinity in relationships. I found Dr. James Crawford, a black male psychologist who specialized in adolescent boys. Destiny started seeing Dr. Robinson with me sometimes, working through her feelings about the divorce and her father's new relationship. In January 2025, almost a year after I'd found that phone, I did something I never thought I'd do. I went on a date. Not because I was looking for a relationship, but because my friend Keisha had set me up with her husband's brother, David, and I figured why not? I was divorced, I was healing, and I deserved to have dinner with a nice man who thought I was beautiful. David picked me up at 7 p.m. on a Saturday night when the kids were with Marcus. He was 45, a high school principal, divorced with one grown daughter. We went to Nikolai's Roof, a fancy restaurant downtown with an incredible view of the city. He was a gentleman, opened doors, pulled out my chair, asked thoughtful questions about my life and my work. And you know what? I had a good time. Not I'm falling in love time, but this is nice and I'm remembering that I'm a woman outside of being a mother and an ex-wife time. I'd like to see you again, David said at the end of the night when he walked me to my door. If you're interested. I smiled. I am, but I need to be honest with you, I am not looking for anything serious right now. I'm still healing from my divorce, and my kids are my priority. I respect that, he said. How about we just take it slow, get to know each other as friends and see where it goes? That worked for me. We started seeing each other casually, diner once a week, maybe a movie or a jazz show. Nothing heavy, nothing intense, just two adults enjoying each other's company. The kids met him about 2 months into whatever we were doing. Jaden was skeptical at first, sizing David up like he was protecting me. But after David talked basketball with him for an hour and showed genuine interest in his game, Jaden softened a bit. Destiny was more openly hostile. Are you trying to replace our dad? She asked David directly during that first meeting. David handled it beautifully. Not at all, he said. I couldn't replace your father even if I wanted to. He's your dad, and that bond is special. I'm just someone who enjoys spending time with your mother. That's it. Do you love her? Destiny pressed, and I wanted to sink into the floor. Destiny, I started, but David held up a hand. It's okay, he said, then turned back to my daughter. I care about your mother a lot. She's an amazing woman, strong, smart, beautiful, kind. But love, that takes time. Right now, we're just getting to know each other and enjoying each other's company. If it becomes something more, you'll be the first to know. But your mother and I both agree that you and your brother come first. Always. That seemed to satisfy Destiny, at least for the moment. As spring came to Atlanta, bringing warmth and blooming dogwoods, I felt myself truly coming alive again. I'd lost weight not from stress this time, but from taking care of myself. I was working out regularly, eating better, sleeping through the night. The constant anxiety that had lived in my chest for so long was gone. I could breathe freely again. I started speaking publicly about my experience. A local women's organization asked me to share my story at their annual conference, and I agreed. Standing in front of 200 women, most of them black women who understood the unique pressures we face, I told them everything: the hidden phone, the dating profiles, the financial infidelity, the divorce. And I told them about the healing. I'm not going to stand here and tell you that forgiveness is easy, I said to those women. I'm not going to tell you to pray about it and let it go. What I will tell you is this: your healing is not contingent on his apology. Your peace is not dependent on him recognizing what he did wrong. Your future is not determined by his past actions. You get to decide who you become after betrayal. You get to choose whether this breaks you or makes you. The response was overwhelming. Women lined up afterward to hug me, to share their own stories, to tell me I'd given them hope. Some were dealing with infidelity. Some were recovering from abusive relationships. Some were just trying to figure out how to be whole after being broken. And I realized that my pain, as terrible as it had been, could be purposeful. It could help other women feel less alone. I started a blog, Rebuilding Shanice, where I wrote about my journey from broken to whole. I wrote about the practical aspects of divorce, the emotional roller coaster of healing, the challenges of co-parenting with someone who hurt you. The blog grew quickly. Women from all over the country started following along, commenting, sharing their own stories. I wasn't just healing myself, I was creating a community of women committed to healing together. In May 2025, I got an unexpected phone call from Jasmine, the woman Marcus had been seeing, the one who'd reached out to me almost a year ago. "Mrs. Washington, Shanice," she said, "I know this might be weird, but I wondered if you'd be willing to meet for coffee." I was hesitant, but curious. We met at a Starbucks in Midtown. Jasmine was beautiful, tall, dark-skinned with natural hair styled in a gorgeous twist-out. She looked nervous as she sat down across from me. "Thank you for meeting me," she said. "I wasn't sure you would." "I almost didn't," I admitted, "but I figured we're both victims of the same man's lies. Might as well compare notes." She smiled sadly. "I've been in therapy since everything came out, working through trust issues, trying to figure out how I didn't see the signs. And my therapist suggested I might find it healing to talk to you if you were willing." We talked for 2 hours. She told me more about her relationship with Marcus, and I shared what I'd learned about his other women. We compared the lies he told, how he'd used almost the same lines with all of us, the same romantic gestures, the same promises. It was like he had a script he followed. "You know what the worst part is?" Jasmine said, stirring her cold coffee. "I actually felt special. He made me feel like I was the most important person in his world. And finding out I was just one of many, that I wasn't special at all, that hurt almost as much as the lies." I understood that completely. "He's very good at making women feel seen," I said. "That's his gift and his curse. He knows exactly what to say to make you feel valued and chosen, but it's all performance. There's no real substance behind it." Jasmine nodded. "I haven't dated anyone since. I'm too scared." "How do you trust again after something like this?" That was the million-dollar question. "I don't know if you ever fully trust again," I said honestly. "Not the way you did before. But maybe that's not a bad thing. Maybe we were too trusting before. Maybe now we know to look for the signs, to ask the hard questions, to trust our instincts when something feels off." Before we parted ways, Jasmine said something that stuck with me. "You're stronger than I am. You had 18 years with him, 2 kids, a whole life built together. I only had 8 months, and I'm still struggling. I don't know how you're doing it." I thought about that. "I'm doing it because I have to," I said. "I have 2 kids who are watching me, learning from me. I have to show them that you can survive betrayal and come out stronger. That's not strength, that's necessity." But maybe it was strength too. Maybe strength isn't about not falling apart. Maybe it's about choosing to pick up the pieces and build something new. As summer approached, marking a full year since I'd found that phone, I looked at my life and barely recognized it. I was living in the same house, doing the same job, but everything else had changed. I had changed. The Shanice, who'd been married to Marcus, who'd believed in fairy tales and forever, who'd trusted blindly, she was gone. In her place was someone harder, yes, but also wiser. Someone who knew her worth. Someone who wouldn't settle for crumbs of affection or part-time love. My relationship with David had evolved into something real. We'd taken it slow, built a foundation of friendship first. He'd met my extended family, spent time with my kids, proven himself to be consistent and honest. We weren't living together or talking about marriage. I wasn't ready for that, and might never be. But we had something good, something healthy, something built on truth instead of lies. One evening in June, David and I were sitting on my back porch, watching fireflies light up the yard. The kids were inside watching a movie. "I want to tell you something," David said, taking my hand. "And I don't want you to feel pressured to say it back or respond in any particular way." My stomach clenched. "Okay, ... I love you, Shanice," he said simply. "I've probably loved you for months now, but I wanted to wait until I was sure. Until I knew this was real and not just infatuation or rebound or anything temporary. I love who you are. I love your strength and your vulnerability. I love how you parent your kids. I love your laugh and your mind and your heart. I love you." Tears filled my eyes. Not sad tears, but overwhelmed tears. A year ago, I'd been lying in bed next to a man who claimed to love me while betraying me in the worst way possible. And now, here was a man who'd spent months proving his love through actions before even saying the words. "I don't know if I'm there yet," I said honestly. "Not because of you, but because I'm still healing. I still have walls up. I'm still learning how to trust again." "I know," David said, squeezing my hand. And that's okay. I'm not going anywhere. I'll be here when you're ready. And if you're never ready, I'll still be grateful for whatever time we have together. That's what love should look like. I realized, patient, understanding, not demanding or manipulating or requiring you to compromise yourself. Just steady and sure, and there. In July, on the anniversary of the day, I found Marcus's phone. I did something symbolic. I gathered my closest friends Keisha, my girl Tasha from work, my cousin Monica, and we had a rebirth ceremony in my backyard. I'd written down all the negative thoughts and beliefs I'd internalized during my marriage and the divorce. I'm not enough. I'm too old to start over. I'll never trust again. Love is dangerous, and we burned them in my fire pit. As we watched the papers turn to ash, each woman shared something she was releasing to. Keisha was releasing guilt over her own past relationship mistakes. Tasha was releasing the belief that she needed to be perfect. Monica was releasing fear of being alone. We cried together, laughed together, and toasted to new beginnings with champagne. Two women who rise from the ashes, Keisha said, raising her glass. Two women who refuse to let betrayal define them. Two women who choose healing over bitterness. To us, we chorused, clinking our glasses. Jaden graduated from high school that same month. At 17, my baby boy was heading to Morehouse in the fall on a basketball scholarship. I was so proud I could burst. Both Marcus and I attended the graduation, sitting on opposite sides of the auditorium. When Jaden walked across that stage to receive his diploma, we both stood and cheered. For that moment, our drama didn't matter. Our son had achieved something incredible, and we were both there to celebrate him. At the graduation party, afterward, held at Miss Patricia's house, Marcus approached me. It was the first time we'd really spoken in months. He's a good kid, Marcus said, watching Jaden laugh with his friends. We did good with him. Yes, we did, I agreed. There was an awkward pause. Then Marcus said, Shanice, I know I've said this before, but I need to say it again. I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry for everything I put you through. You deserved better than what I gave you. I looked at this man who'd been my whole world for so long. Thank you for saying that, I said. I hope you mean it, and I hope you've learned something from all this, for your sake, and for the sake of whatever woman you're with now. He nodded. I have. Therapy has helped me understand why I did what I did. Doesn't excuse it, but it helps me make sure I don't do it again. Good, I said. Then, surprising myself, I added, I forgive you, Marcus. His eyes widened. You do. I do, I said, and I meant it. Not for you, for me. Because holding on to anger and bitterness was eating me alive. I forgive you, and I release you. We're not friends, and we'll never be what we were. But we're the parents of two incredible kids, and we need to be able to coexist peacefully for them. Thank you, Marcus said, his voice thick with emotion. That means more than you know. As I walked away from that conversation, I felt lighter than I had in a year. Forgiveness didn't mean forgetting. It didn't mean what he did was okay. It just meant I was choosing not to carry that weight anymore. In August, Destiny started her junior year of high school. My baby girl, who'd been so broken by the divorce, had found her footing again. She was excelling in her advanced placement classes, had been made captain of her dance team, and had even started dating a sweet boy named Jordan, who treated her with respect. Mom, she said one night while we were cooking dinner together, I want to thank you. For what, baby? For showing me what strength looks like, she said. For not falling apart when Dad did what he did. For rebuilding your life and being happy again. You taught me that women don't need men to complete them. We can be whole all by ourselves. I hugged her tight, tears streaming down my face. You're going to be okay, baby girl. Better than okay. You're going to be amazing. That September, I got a promotion at work. I was named the director of the foster care division for Fulton County. It came with a significant pay raise and more responsibility, and I was ready for it. I'd spent the past year rebuilding myself personally. Now, it was time to level up professionally too. I used some of my first big paycheck to take a solo trip. I flew to Martha's Vineyard for a long weekend, stayed at a beautiful bed and breakfast, walked on the beach, read books, and just existed without being anybody's mother or girlfriend or employee. Just Shanice. It was glorious. Sitting on that beach, watching the waves roll in, I thought about everything that had happened over the past 18 months. The betrayal, the pain, the anger, the healing. I thought about the woman I used to be, trusting, maybe naive, definitely more innocent. And I thought about the woman I'd become, wiser, stronger, more cautious, but also more alive. Marcus had taken something from me when he betrayed our marriage, but in losing that, I'd found something I didn't know I'd lost along the way myself. For 18 years, I'd been Marcus's wife, first, Jaden and Destiny's mother second, and Shanice Collins Washington a distant third. Now, I was putting myself first. Not in a selfish way, but in a self-preserving way, because I'd learned that you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't give love if you don't love yourself first. Claude can make mistakes. Please double-check responses. Asterisk by October 2025, I'd been divorced for exactly 1 year. To mark the occasion, I wrote a blog post titled 365 Days of Freedom, What I've Learned Since My Divorce. In it, I shared 12 lessons that the year had taught me. Betrayal doesn't define you, your response to it does. I could have become bitter, could have spent the rest of my life angry at Marcus and men in general. Your children are more resilient than you think. Jaden and Destiny had been through hell, but they were thriving. Kids can handle truth better than they can handle lies. Financial independence is everything. Thank God I'd kept my career and my own bank account. Too many women are trapped in bad marriages because they're financially dependent. Forgiveness is for you, not them. Forgiving Marcus didn't let him off the hook, it released me from the prison of resentment. Red flags are red flags. If something feels off, it probably is. Trust your intuition. You can't fix someone who doesn't want to be fixed. I'd wasted years making excuses for Marcus's behavior, thinking if I was just better somehow, he'd change. Female friendships are lifelines. Keisha, Tasha, Monica, my girls had held me up when I couldn't stand on my own. Therapy isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Dr. Robinson had saved my sanity and possibly my life. Your worth isn't determined by whether someone chooses you. Marcus's affairs didn't make me less valuable, they revealed his character, not mine. Take your time with new relationships. David had been patient, and that patience had allowed something real to grow between us. Self-care isn't selfish. The gym, the spa days, the solo trip, all of it was necessary for my healing. You can start over at any age. At 43, I was building a whole new life. It's never too late. The blog post went viral. Within a week, it had been shared over 50,000 times. Women from all over the world commented, from Nigeria to London to Jamaica to Los Angeles. You gave me the courage to leave. One woman wrote, I've been making excuses for my husband's cheating for 5 years. Reading your story made me realize I deserve better. Another woman commented, I'm 52 and thought I was too old to start over. You inspired me to file for divorce last week. Thank you. Reading those comments, I realized my pain had purpose. Every tear I'd cried, every sleepless night, every moment of devastation, it was all leading to this, to helping other women find their strength, to showing them that survival is possible, that healing is real, that life after betrayal can be even better than life before. In November, I was invited to speak on a panel at the Essence Festival's Healing and Empowerment Workshop. Me, a regular social worker from Atlanta, on stage at Essence Festival. I almost said no, imposter syndrome was real, but Keisha pushed me. Girl, you have a story that needs to be heard. Get on that stage and tell it. So I did. I stood in front of hundreds of Black women and shared my journey. I talked about the hidden phone, the dating profiles, the financial infidelity. I talked about the moment I decided to choose myself, and I talked about the healing, the therapy, the forgiveness, the rebuilding. When I finished, the room erupted in applause. Women were on their feet, crying, clapping, nodding in recognition of their own stories reflected in mine. Afterward, a young woman approached me. She couldn't have been more than 20. My mama stayed with my daddy even though he cheated on her for years. She said, tears in her eyes. She stayed because she thought that's what good wives do. She died never knowing her own worth. I promised myself I'd never be like her. Hearing your story, it reminded me why I made that promise. Thank you. That conversation stayed with me for weeks. How many women stayed in marriages that destroyed them piece by piece? How many taught their daughters that love meant accepting disrespect? How many died never knowing they deserved better? I didn't want that to be my legacy. I wanted my daughter to know that love should elevate you, not diminish you. I wanted my son to know that real men don't betray the women who love them. Christmas 2025 was different. Instead of the big family gathering at Miss Patricia's house, we split the holiday. The kids spent Christmas Eve with Marcus and Christmas Day with me. It was strange at first, carving up holidays like slicing a pie, but it worked. On Christmas morning, Destiny, Jaden, David, and I had breakfast together, French toast, turkey bacon, fresh fruit. We opened presents, laughed, and took silly photos. It wasn't the family Christmas I'd imagined all those years ago, but it was good. It was real. It was honest. David gave me a gift that made me cry, a beautiful leather journal with my blog name embossed on the cover. Rebuilding Shanice. For all the stories you're going to tell, he said. All the women you're going to help. All the healing you're going to inspire. I loved this man. The realization hit me like a wave. I loved him, not the desperate, all-consuming love I'd had for Marcus, but something steadier. Something built on a foundation of trust and mutual respect. Something real. I love you, I said. The first time I'd said those words to anyone other than my children in almost 2 years. David's face lit up. Yeah, I confirmed, smiling through my tears. I love you, David Crawford. Thank you for being patient with me. Thank you for showing me what real love looks like. He kissed me, and Jaden groaned from the couch. Really, on Christmas? Y'all are embarrassing. But he was smiling. Even Destiny giggled. My kids approved, and that meant everything. As 2026 began. I felt like I was finally living instead of just surviving. My blog had grown to over 100,000 followers. I'd been featured in Essence magazine, on the Breakfast Club podcast, and even on a segment of the Tamron Hall show. From betrayal to empowerment, one woman's journey, the headline read. People recognized me sometimes when I was out at the grocery store, at Jaden's basketball games, at church. Are you Shanice from Rebuilding Shanice? A woman asked me at Kroger one Sunday afternoon. When I said yes, she hugged me. You saved my life, she whispered. I was planning to stay with my husband even though he was cheating. But after reading your blog, I found the courage to leave. I've been divorced for 6 months now, and I'm happier than I've been in years. Thank you. These moments reminded me why I'd chosen to be so public with my pain. Shame thrives in silence. Healing happens in community. By sharing my story, I was giving other women permission to share theirs. I was showing them that they weren't alone. In February, Marcus got engaged to Brittany, the girlfriend Jaden and Destiny had met. They'd only been dating for about 18 months, but apparently, he was ready to marry again. When the kids told me, I waited for jealousy or anger to surface. But all I felt was nothing. Maybe a little pity for Brittany, hoping she knew what she was getting into, but mostly nothing. How do you feel about Dad getting married again? Destiny asked, watching my face carefully. I feel fine, I said honestly. Your father and I are done. What he does with his life now doesn't affect me. I hope he's learned from his mistakes. I hope he treats her better than he treated me. Do you think he's changed? Jaden asked skeptically. I considered the question. I don't know. People can change if they really want to, and if they do the work. Whether your father has done that work, only time will tell. Marcus invited me to coffee a few weeks before his wedding. I almost said no, but curiosity got the better of me. We met at a Starbucks in Buckhead, sitting across from each other like strangers. Thank you for meeting me, Marcus said. He looked better than he had during the divorce. He'd gained back some weight, looked less haggard. I wanted to talk to you before I got married again. Okay, I said neutrally. I know I don't have the right to ask this, he started, but I wanted your blessing isn't the right word. Your acknowledgement. I don't know. I wanted you to know that I've changed. I've been in therapy for almost 2 years now. I understand why I did what I did, and I'm committed to never doing it again. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Because you deserved better, Marcus said, his voice cracking. And I want you to know that I know that. You were a good wife, Shanice, the best. And I destroyed what we had because of my own brokenness. I'm sorry. I'll spend the rest of my life being sorry. I looked at this man who'd once been my whole world. I appreciate you saying that, Marcus. Truly, and I hope you mean it. I hope you've done the work and that you're capable of being faithful to Brittany. Not for my sake, but for yours and for our kids' sake. They deserve to see their father be a good man. I'm trying, he said. Every day, I'm trying to be better. That's all any of us can do, I said. We talked for a few more minutes, catching up on the kids. Discussing logistics for Jaden's graduation from Morehouse in a few years. It was civil, almost friendly, and when we parted ways, I realized something. I truly had let go. Marcus was just a person, now the father of my children. Yes, but not someone who had power over my emotions anymore. In March, David and I celebrated 1 year together. He took me to Blue Ridge, Georgia, for a weekend getaway, a cozy cabin in the mountains. Far from Atlanta's noise and chaos. On Saturday night, we sat on the deck watching the stars, wrapped in blankets against the cool mountain air. I want to ask you something, David said, and I need you to know there's no pressure, no expectations. My heart started racing. Okay, I love you, Shanice. I love your strength, your vulnerability, your laugh, your mind. I love how you parent your kids. I love your passion for helping other women. I love everything about you." He paused. "I know marriage might not be something you're interested in again, and that's okay. But I want you to know my intentions. I'm not dating you casually. I'm not passing time. I'm building toward a future with you, if you'll have me." Tears filled my eyes. "David, you don't have to answer now," he said quickly. "I just wanted you to know where I stand. Whenever you're ready, if you're ever ready, I'll be here." I thought about Marcus, about the 18 years I'd given to a man who'd thrown it all away. I thought about the pain of betrayal, the fear of being hurt again, but I also thought about the year I'd spent with David, his consistency, his honesty, his patience, how he'd proven his love through actions before even saying the words. "I can't promise you forever," I said carefully. That word got complicated for me, "but I can promise you today, and tomorrow, and every day after that. I choose to wake up and choose you. Is that enough?" David smiled, that beautiful smile that had drawn me to him in the first place. "That's more than enough. That's everything." We didn't get engaged that night. We didn't need to. We just held each other under the stars. Two people who'd been broken by past relationships, choosing to build something new together. By spring 2026, almost 2 years after finding that phone, I looked at my life and felt genuine joy. My kids were thriving, Jaden excelling at Morehouse, Destiny preparing for her senior year, and already getting interest from colleges for both academics and dance. My career was flourishing. I'd been asked to consult on a statewide initiative to improve foster care outcomes. My relationship with David was healthy and growing, and my blog had evolved into a full movement, with meet groups in cities across the country where women gathered to support each other through divorce, betrayal, and healing. I'd written a book, The Phone I Wish I'd Never Found, a journey from betrayal to empowerment. It was set to publish in the fall, and I'd already gotten interest from a major publisher for a follow-up about rebuilding after divorce. Me, Shanice Collins, Washington, author. Who would have thought? One evening in April, I sat on my back porch, the same porch where I'd sat with David when he first told me he loved me, and I thought about everything that had happened. If someone had told me 2 years ago that finding that phone would be the best thing that ever happened to me, I would have thought they were insane. But in a twisted way, it was true. Finding that phone destroyed my marriage, yes, but it also freed me from a relationship built on lies. It forced me to rebuild my life on a foundation of truth and self-respect. It showed my children what strength looks like. It connected me with thousands of women who needed to know they weren't alone. It led me to David, to real love. It made me into someone I'm proud to be. Would I go back and change it if I could? Would I choose ignorance over truth? No. 1,000 times no. Because that pain, as excruciating as it was, taught me who I am. It showed me what I'm capable of. It proved that I can survive anything. To everyone watching this, everyone who's followed my journey from that awful night in July 2024 to now, thank you. Thank you for your support, your comments, your shares, your vulnerability in telling me your own stories. You've been part of my healing, and I hope I've been part of yours. If you're watching this and you're going through betrayal right now, whether you just found out or you've been living with it for years, I want you to know something. You're going to survive this. I know it doesn't feel like it right now. I know the pain is so intense you can barely breathe. I know you feel like your world is ending, but it's not ending, it's transforming. And you're going to emerge from this fire forged into something stronger, something more beautiful, something more authentically you. Trust the process. Get therapy. Lean on your people. Document everything. Protect yourself financially. Put your children first, but don't forget to put yourself first too. And know that healing isn't linear. Some days, you'll feel strong. Other days, you'll feel broken. And both are okay. You deserve to be loved faithfully. You deserve to be respected. You deserve honesty. You deserve partnership. And if the person you're with can't give you those things, you deserve to walk away. I'm Shanice Washington, and this is my story. 2 years ago, I found a phone that destroyed my marriage. Today, I'm standing in the life I rebuilt from those ashes, stronger, wiser, and finally, truly free. If this story resonated with you, please like this video and share it. You never know whose life it might change. Subscribe to Real Talk with Shanice for more real, raw, honest conversations about life, love, and healing. And please, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. Let's build this community of strong women supporting each other. Thank you for listening. Thank you for caring. Thank you for being part of my journey. Stay strong, stay true, and remember, you are worthy of real love. Always.